have grounds to arrest this person for impaired driving. And I did.
Oh man, my actual license is probably gonna get revoked if the province insists. Oh God. Canada just legalized recreational weed, and along with that, the government enacted a new series of impaired driving laws. The problem is that critics argue that the science isn't strong enough proving a link between the THC blood limits that the government has set and your actual impairment and ability to drive.
While driving impaired is never a good idea, many believe the new laws are problematic because they have the potential to punish drivers who aren't actually impaired.
So we're trying to test those out today.
To kick things off, I gave samples of my blood and breath to a technician while sober, and then went outside to get the experiment underway.
Having reported on cannabis for a few years and kind of just been like surrounded with talk of it, it's still weird for me to be able to blaze at work as part of my job legally.
After I finished vaping, I went back inside the lab to find out what it would feel like to drive high and what I would experience if I was pulled over by a cop.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So how are you feeling?
I feel baked.
You feel baked?
Yeah.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you describe baked?
Probably around a 6.
Around a 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely would not drive right now.
You wouldn't? Okay.
In the real world, no, I would not drive right now.
Because I couldn't drive an actual car, I got behind the wheel of a driving simulator to see how it would feel driving high. It didn't go well.
Uh-oh. What's ahead?
Okay, roadblock. Yeah, so I got pulled over by the cops.
I needed a more scientific way to assess my impairment. So I brought in Steve, who's a drug recognition expert and ex-cop who specializes in detecting drug-impaired drivers.
If I were pulled over, what would be the first sort of test that I would go through?
So the first test that we'll do is we will do the horizontal gaze nystagmus test. Please look at the top of the stimulus. Follow it with your eyes while I move it from side to side.
As Steve ran me through the roadside tests, I began to think even a sober driver might struggle with certain elements of them.
Now don't start the test until I tell you to, okay?
If I feel myself start to wobble, am I allowed to do anything to balance myself out? Like
That would be a clue on the test. Do you have any other questions before you begin?
No. 1001, 1000. Screwed myself.
So how did she do?
Well, Manisha failed the tests.
She failed the test.
She failed the test, yeah. You know, her eyes would either advance the stimulus and then wait for it and then carry on with it. Then we did the walk and turn test. You used your arms for balance,
yeah.
And you also stopped walking. Don't stop the test until you've completed it. Do you understand? Then the last test that we did is the one-leg stand test. So in this one, we had put your foot down.
So based on me failing this test, what would happen next?
There are two options here. You're arrested for impaired driving and you're brought to a drug recognition expert for an evaluation, or you're given a demand for a blood sample.
For the sake of the experiment, I did both. I gave another sample of my blood and also did the more comprehensive evaluation that would take place at a police station.
The field sobriety test, when you got pulled over during your simulator exercise, you had smoked up earlier. I did the field sobriety test. I think I have grounds to arrest this person for impaired driving. And so now at the end of the evaluation, I no longer feel like you're impaired. I don't form that opinion. You're exhibiting some clinical indicators that are associated to the cannabis category.
Right.
But you're not exhibiting impairment.
I mean, I guess what's interesting is what you just said about how somebody can have consumed, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're impaired.
Steve's assessment drove home the point that there are many variables when trying to assess someone's impairment. It's not a perfect system. And 2 weeks later, when I got my blood results, I found out that 30 minutes after vaping, despite feeling impaired to the point where I wouldn't drive, my blood level never even got close to the legal limit. Even when I failed the roadside test, I was only registering a blood THC reading of 0.5 nanograms per milliliter of blood, which is 4 times lower than the legal limit of 2 nanograms.
At the airport, if they want to know you're carrying weapons, they put you through the scanner and the machine tells them.
Yeah.
But we don't have that for impairment.
Yeah.
This is the best system that we have for evaluating, is there impairment at the present moment?